John McDonnell, who writes for us on flownews24.com.au, our webpage. You can follow that too on Facebook or into one of the podcasts. And he today writes about Linda Reynolds. Now, she was to speak at the National Press Club, but this was her opportunity to talk about some of the things like the rape allegations that happened in her office a couple of years ago, with the allegations that have been put by Brittany Higgins on this matter. And John writes on the Flow News 24 that the press gallery was taken by surprise. Wednesday morning, the office of the minister released a statement advising that Linda Reynolds' cardiologist had ordered her to hospital because of a pre-existing heart condition that had worsened. The general sentiment among the women in Parliament House was one of sympathy for the minister, who they saw as having been used as a human shield by the men, who should have taken more responsibility for the Brittany Higgins matter. And there were some feelings of stress of having to front up to heavy hitters. Now, some of these heavy hitters in the gallery are Sam Maiden, Lara Tingle, Michelle Grattan, Karen Middleton. This may have been too much for Minister Reynolds, says John, but the Defence Minister has tough questions to answer on more than the rape allegations. The government's defence procurement program, which was put in place by Christopher Pyne during the Turnbull years, has gone pear-shaped. And Senator Reynolds has been frustrated with the procurement process since she was appointed the Defence Industry Minister before the 2019 election. She has had to contend with the fact that the French naval group is a year behind schedule in actually signing the contracts for the design and construction of these submarines. In addition, there are problems with the construction and delivery of the Joint Strike Force fighters, and recently the design for the Hunter frigates. So it looks like the subs, the fighters in the planes, and the Hunter frigates, the boats in the sea, that are due to be built by BAE Systems in Adelaide that start next year, are the subject of a major dispute between the Canadian government and the company. The failure of the French to sign the subs contract has implications for the defence industry in South Australia and Victoria. The contract contains a provision that 60% of the content of the submarines has to be sourced in Australia. The naval group is balking at accepting this provision. There are concerns that the Defence Department is not taking the Canadian problems with the frigate program seriously enough. There is a need for intensive risk management, but the measures are not being implemented. And sources have said Prime Minister Scott Morrison has become increasingly worried in recent months about the Defence's ability to deliver on these projects. And hence the Prime Minister has referred to these issues to the Department's National Naval Shipbuilding Enterprise team. Last Wednesday, the Minister for Defence Industry, Senator Reynolds, delivered a speech to the Australian Defence Information and Electronic Systems Association annual dinner. In the speech, Senator Reynolds emphasised that the Australian industry capability was her principal priority. She said that the government was going to provide $16 billion over the next 10 years to support defence information and communications technology. She also added the priority areas that the government intends are signal and intelligence collection and processing, offensive and defensive cyber, phased array and high-frequency skywave radar, and space and terrestrial communications equipment. These are very complex areas of technology, and the possibility of cost blowouts and delays is enormous, writes John. Questions about whether the defence establishment has the capability to manage these complex projects are now being asked by a number of observers. At the moment, the whole matter of defence procurement is shrouded in secrecy, so it is impossible to know whether the taxpayer is getting value for money. I suppose if they're behind with the French and they're looking at 60% Australian procurement, the French not signing off on the contract because of that, then maybe we have the wrong contract. And again, with the Canadians, with their part of the defence procurement, again, if there is risk management that needs to be seen here, and that Prime Minister Scott Morrison is elevating this to the Department's National Naval Shipbuilding Enterprise team, and then he is probably going above and beyond the Minister. Is there an admission here that the Minister is out of her depth? Maybe all of the other issues that have been happening around about her have thrown her off. Health conditions aside, has she been doing a good job in the portfolio regardless? Is the health condition a result of the stress now that she feels under because of the portfolio issues in defence, and we're talking about the procurement of these key areas, these submarines, these frigates, and also the Air Strike Force fighters. These seem to be the most important things that we actually have the apparatus to defend ourselves. And then we talk about some of the other technology items like this radar system. You know, this is so crucial that we get a move on. I mean, our ability to defend ourselves and to provide the intelligence necessary for that is under threat. And Linda Reynolds is taking time off work with a health condition. Maybe Mr. Morrison might have got the decision over who should be Defence Procurement Minister. Maybe that is a Jim Molan job that is awaiting to be taken up by an expert who has experience in the field.